Shalom, friends. I would like to share some words of Torah today with you in memory of my dear friend, Rav Ronen Neuwirth. First, a little bit about my congregation, United Orthodox Synagogue's personal connection to Rav Ronen. When we were starting Bnei Akiva about 18 years ago, Rav Ronen was Rav Shaliach Bnei Akiva. He was the head shaliach, the head emissary of Bnei Akiva, and the religious guide for Bnei Akiva. And he encouraged us to stick with it when it wasn't so easy in the early days to get our sniff going. And Rav Ronen made many trips to our community to give us chizuk, to give us encouragement to stay the course. And now our Bnei Akiva program is a model program for the country, something that Bnei Akiva North America is very proud of, and something that our congregation is very proud of. We have had many successes in our Bnei Akiva program, and they really should be credited to Rav Ronen's hard work. He was there with us in the beginning when we were laying the foundation for Bnei Akiva. And so many of the wonderful things that we've been able to accomplish here with Bnei Akiva in terms of influencing our young people, in terms of how Bnei Akiva has changed the character of our entire community, in terms of the number of families and young people who have made Aliyah, in my opinion, as a direct result of our Bnei Akiva program. All of that should be credited to Rav Ronen and are in his zechut. And so now some words of Torah. This Shabbat we're going to read Vayihi b'shalach Paro. Paro finally sends Bnei Yisrael out, and after they've made their way out, they get to Marah, and the water is bitter. They can't drink the water. And then they complain, and the Torah says, Vayitzak el Hashem, Vayoreu Hashem eitz vayashlech el hamayim. God showed Moshe a tree, and he threw it into the water. Vayimtiku hamayim, and then the water was made sweet. As I was reviewing this reading, and in light of the passing of Rav Ronen, it took on a whole new meaning to me. It's true that the water was bitter, and in this case, the Hasidic teachers, the Degel Machane Ephraim, Moshe Chaim Ephraim of Sodilkov, who was the Baal Shem Tov's grandson, teaches us, as do others, that water here represents Torah. And the Torah was bitter. Bnei Yisrael did not want it. It did not taste good. It did not satisfy them. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes the Torah seems bitter. The Baal Shem Tov himself and the Degel Machane Ephraim say that sometimes divash, honey, tastes bitter for some reason, while for so many divash is sweet. For others, maybe there's something going on, but it doesn't taste sweet, it tastes bitter. And Rav Ronen understood this. Rav Ronen understood that for many, many people in Israel, the Torah that we cherish and love and brings so much sweetness and so much meaning and so much direction to our life, for so many people was mar, was bitter. And many people were trying to figure out why, and they couldn't, but Rav Ronen figured it out. And the secret is in the tree that the Torah says was cast into the water, and that sweetened the water. I'm not big on gematriot, but the Degel Machane Ephraim points out that the Unculus, the Targum, translates the word eitz as a'ah. V'tzali kedam Hashem, v'alfei Hashem a'ah, urema lemaya. That this a'ah appeared and it was thrown into the water. A'ah, teaches the Degel Machane Ephraim, has the gematria, the numerical value of 72, which he beautifully points out is the same numerical value of chesed. And the point is, when Torah is taught with chesed, when the focus of Torah is creating a life of chesed, And that when we teach people that Torah is a Torat Chesed, a Torah of kindness that is not only kind to us, but challenges us and expects us to be kind to others, and most importantly, that the Torah is a vehicle through which we can build a society of Chesed, an Olam Chesed, then the Torah is no longer bitter. Then the Torah is sweet. And that is the project to which our dear Rav Ronen sanctified his life. He was completely and utterly dedicated to teaching everyone that the Torah is a Torat Chesed, that the Torah is a Torah of loving kindness. And if we mind the Torah carefully enough, we will find that it is the way for us to create a society of kindness. And that is the legacy and how I remember Rav Ronen, always with a smile, always with patience to explain the depths and the beauty and the chesed of the Torah. And that's why he was so successful in creating institutions and students and communities that became and remained committed to Torah, because his was a Torat Chesed. He saw that for many it was mar, it was bitter, and he took that tree, that eitz, that Chesed, and he put it into the Torah. He reminded us that that is what the Torah is injected with, and so many people, because of it, became lovers of Torah, practitioners of Torah, shomrei mitzvot. And that is the zechut that Rav Ronen leaves behind, and that is how I will try to honor him, by always focusing on the fact that the Torah is a Torat Chesed. I miss Rav Ronen. The world is poorer in his absence because he had that special voice. So our obligation now is to raise our Chesed voice, is to raise our voice and create societies of Chesed based on the Torah, so that we and others can see and always be reminded that the Torah is a Torat Chesed, helps us create in ourselves refined personalities, refined communities, and indeed a refined world. We miss you, Rav Ronen, but we will carry on this message of Torat Chesed in your memory and in your honor. Chag Sameach, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.